politics, commentary, entertainment, sports, news, and opinion now. Here is Steve Malzberg.
Hamas is responsible for the deaths of civilians. We're not targeting a single civilian. We're responding to Hamas action, and we're telling the civilians to leave. Hamas is telling them to stay. Why is it telling them to stay? Because it wants to pile up their own dead bodies. They not only want to kill our people, they want to sacrifice their own people.
But where can they go? You say they should leave. Where can they reasonably go?
I'll get to.
Okay.
I'll tell you. There are plenty of places they can go to, but Hamas is making sure that they don't go anywhere.
Says from Meet the Press, Benjamin Netanyahu. Welcome back. Joining us now, I'm very happy to say, is Likud party member of the Knesset and former Deputy Minister of Defense for Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Danon. Hello, sir.
Hello, Steve. It is good to be on your show again.
Well, it's always good to talk to you. Let me start with the back and forth. You know, every so often, if you watch American television, CNN, Fox, whatever, Israel agrees to a ceasefire. Palestinians, Hamas says no. Israel says yes to another ceasefire. Where are we now? And as far as you know, would any quote-unquote ceasefire have to include Israel's right to A, continue to attack if they're attacked, and B, to continue to stay in Gaza and eradicate the tunnels?
Well, first of all, I think we're getting closer to a point where we have to reach a decision, and I'm urging the Prime Minister to reach the right decision, to fight with the Hamas, no matter how long it will take. And I know, and I'm aware of the pressure coming from Washington. And I tell you, Steve, and I want to sound polite, but this is an insult. The way President Obama is treating Israel and Secretary Kerry is treating Israel, it is an insult for us. The demand to have a ceasefire and putting Israel in the same level as the Hamas, it is unacceptable. The U.S. knows how to fight Al-Qaeda and the Taliban, and we are fighting the Hamas. And with those people, you fight them. You don't beg for a ceasefire. And what we have seen in the last few days, Secretary Kerry is trying to put the pressure on Netanyahu to accept a ceasefire where we cannot continue to fight against the Hamas and to find the tunnels. This is something that we should not accept.
Do you believe that a ceasefire like that, with those conditions? I mean, we saw that unanimously rejected by the Israeli cabinet. They very rarely unanimously do anything. So do you think that they would reconsider something along those lines, or any kind of ceasefire? Like I said, that's why I asked you, would any ceasefire have to include, if they accept any, would it have to include Israel's right to continue to get the tunnels and to continue to keep the troops in Gaza and continue to strike back at rocket launches?
Well, I don't know if it was published in the U.S., but here in Israel, we all talk about the phone conversation between President Obama and Prime Minister Netanyahu, and it was not a pleasant conversation. If you saw what happened there, it was not pleasant.
Was there a threat by President Obama?
He was yelling and telling Prime Minister Netanyahu what he should do and what he should not do. And I tell you frankly, we have a very close relationship with the U.S., the strongest ally of Israel. But this is not a way to treat the leader of an ally country. He is not talking, President Obama, with a leader of the Taliban. He's talking of the leader of the state of Israel, of the Jewish people. And when we are in a time of war, we need the backing and the support of the U.S. Unfortunately, we do not have it now. I urge Prime Minister Netanyahu and my friend in the cabinet to be strong now and to do whatever is good for Israel, even if it means to tell President Obama, no, we cannot. We cannot satisfy your wishes or your pressure to sign a ceasefire, which will be bad for Israel now.
Danny, one of the reports I did read about that conversation was that there was a threat, the cutoff of aid, not completely, but of some form of aid to Israel. Do you know anything about that?
Well, I have to tell you that I'm aware of the support we have in both houses from the American people, and I think President Obama and Prime Minister Netanyahu, they're all aware that we have good friends in the U.S. that will not allow the president to hurt the connection between the American people and the Israelis. But it is not pleasant to hear such a voice when you have so much pressure And I can tell you it is not easy for us when we see our boys being buried on a daily basis. And we see that on a daily basis we have missiles. Even as we speak now, and I'm on my way to Jerusalem, we had the raid sirens going off, and we are still under attack, rocket attack as we speak. So it is not a time when you expect to get such a conversation or such an attitude from a friend.
Let me ask you, Danny, how on earth was this allowed to happen? Was Israel asleep at the switch? All these sophisticated tunnels with the sophisticated concrete, you know, I mean, how did it happen? And does it make you wonder what Hezbollah's been doing?
First of all, we have to acknowledge that unlike your neighbors, our neighbors, the only thing they want to do is to destroy us. It's true for the Hezbollah and for the Hamas. The amount of cement they put into the tunnels and the amount of money they put into destruction, it's unbelievable. And I think, 2 weeks ago, I paid with my position as a Deputy Minister of Defense because I told the Prime Minister, when he accepted the premature ceasefire, I told him, no, you cannot accept it. Without dealing with the tunnels and the rockets, we cannot accept a ceasefire. And today, I think everybody in Israel understands that if we had accepted the ceasefire, the Hamas would have come within the tunnels, would have kidnapped hundreds of Israeli children, and it would have been a mega event for us. So I think we should be thankful that we are now in the middle of an operation, a costly one, but that's what we have to do. And
that you're referring to the Rosh Hashanah attack, correct? That was thwarted?
Absolutely, and I can tell you, it wasn't the one soldier, Gilad Shalit. It would have been hundreds of Israelis being kidnapped. They would have taken Jewish communities inside Israel, and I think that only to think about that, it makes me think that we have to continue and to bring down Hamas. We should not be afraid to say, Steve, Israel should fight with the Hamas until we finish with the Hamas.
All right, very quickly.
Or a year.
Do you predict?
But we have to do it.
Do you predict that that's what's going to happen? Is that your prediction? Very quickly.
I don't know. I know there's a lot of pressure on Netanyahu. Prime Minister Netanyahu did not want to go into this operation. That was the main dispute I had with him. I hope today that the cabinet will have the courage to go all the way.
All right, Danny Danon, thank you very much, sir. I hope you'll come back very soon. Former Deputy Defense Minister for Israel here on the Steve Malzberg Show. Okay, we'll be back with more. See if Obama comes out and speaks. He's already very late. First, your Newsmax Now update.